As we study the sacred scriptures, we learn that the books and passages of the sacred scriptures are written in various literary genres. For example, some of the books and passages are written with historical facts. Others appear as parables, stories about ordinary events that have a deeper spiritual meaning. Some passages and books of the Bible are written as songs and others as poetry. And so there's a variety of different genres that the sacred scriptures are written. As we reflect upon the passages today from the book of Genesis and the Gospel of St. Matthew, we see that these passages can be labeled as mythic stories. Now, to call a story a myth is not to say that the story is false or untrue. To call a story a myth says that it is universal. And so in today's readings from Genesis and Matthew, the temptations that they endured are temptations that we endure as well. So let's just take a few moments this morning to reflect upon the temptations found in today's readings. We'll first look at the book of Genesis. When the serpent, the devil, the spirit of evil came into their lives, he did not tempt Adam and Eve to directly disobey God. Rather, the temptation came in disguised as something good. This is what the writer of Genesis says. The woman saw that the tree was good for food, pleasing to the eyes, and desirable for gaining wisdom. What the devil did was to distort that good and tempt the woman, Eve, to become fixated on it. She now had to need it. It had to be hers. And so she took the fruit, ate it, gave it to her husband, and it brought harm into their lives and the lives of all humanity. We call that event, that temptation, addiction. Now, when we hear the word addiction, we oftentimes think that people are addicted to alcohol or to drugs. But in reality, each and every one of us, no matter how young or old we might be, we are addicted to something. For some of us, we are addicted to eating. Others are addicted senior moment right here. Others are addicted to shopping, addicted to helping others, addicted to pleasing others. Some of us are addicted to having the latest fashion, the latest gadget. Some of us are addicted to our computers, to our iPads, and yes, even to our golf clubs. Now, all of those in themselves are good. There's nothing wrong with any of those. But see, what the devil does in our life is he comes disguised as that good and makes us believe that unless we do that or have that, we cannot be happy or our life is fulfilled. We become addicted. We make that number one in our lives. And so the challenge of Lent is that is not that we stop eating, we throw out our computers, let alone our golf clubs. No, the challenge of Lent is that we put all these good things in life in their proper place, that we never become addicted to them, but our focus is always on our relationship with Jesus Christ and, in extension, our relationship to one another. When we go to the temptation found in Matthew's Gospel, the temptation of Jesus in the desert, it's interesting that the devil does not tempt Jesus in his weakness, but rather he tempts Jesus in his strength. See, the devil knows who Jesus is. The devil knows what Jesus can do. The devil knows that Jesus has the power to transform those stones into bread. He knows that Jesus can change and multiply those 7 loaves and 2 fish to feed thousands and thousands of people. The devil knows that Jesus has the power, the strength, to prevent himself from being hurt if he throws himself over the parapet of the temple. The devil knows that Jesus has the power to bring healing and wholeness into the lives of other people. The devil knows that Jesus has the power and the strength to bring people to himself and form the kingdom of God here on earth. So the spirit of evil tempts Jesus to use his power to nourish, his power to heal, and his power to bring community focused only on himself. And Jesus resists that temptation. For he knows that the power that he has, the power that has been given to him, was not meant for him, but for others. And so he said no. He did not sin. He did not give in to temptation. The same thing happens to us. The devil does not tempt us in our weaknesses. He tempts us in our strengths, in our abilities, and in our gifts. For example, if you and I are industrious and energetic, those strengths which are good, the devil will tempt us to use those strengths to become people who somehow amass excessive wealth and possessions. If you and I have the strengths of organization and personal skills, which are good, the devil will tempt us to use those skills to have power and control over other people. If you and I have great knowledge, great intellect, the devil will use those strengths to tempt us to be arrogant, to believe that we always have to have the last word. If you and I have the strengths of being sensitive and passionate, which are good things to have, the devil will tempt us to use those strengths to always seek out sensual pleasure for ourselves. See, the devil tempts us in our strengths and not in our weakness. And so the challenge of this Lent is to recognize our strengths and our abilities and not allow the devil to twist them, to have those strengths focused on ourselves rather than on other people. Because God gave us those strengths, those abilities, those gifts to give him glory and to help our brothers and sisters in their time of need. Our readings today from the book of Genesis and the Gospel of Matthew remind us that throughout our lives, the serpent, the devil, the spirit of evil is always there close by to tempt us. Sometimes distorting that which is good, at other times twisting our strengths to to do us harm and harm for others. During this season of Lent, let us resist those temptations. Let us always choose goodness over addiction. Let us always use our strengths to help others and build up the kingdom of God.